What's going on, Broncos Country? Welcome into a mailbag edition of the Broncos Breakdown. I'm answering questions from our live show, which was Tuesday at 3 o'clock Mountain, 4 o'clock Central. So if you want to be on a future mailbag, set a reminder right now to tune in every Tuesday at that time where I answer questions. And if anything I say gets a bit dated, well, just bear with me. But our first comment for today's mailbag comes in from Pass Master saying, love the Frank Clark signing, looking for Baron Browning to go off this season and for Surtain and Simmons to continue to dominate. I'm a big fan of the Frank Clark signing as well. I said it when he got signed. He has a very good chance, and honestly, my prediction to lead this team in sacks in 2023. So to find your sack leader in June for $5.5 million, cha-ching, talk about a good signing. Now, it was made because of the Baron Browning injury news. He got knee surgery this offseason. Sean Payton said he's going to start training camp on the PUP list, which is not great because you are already a bit thin at edge rusher, but you did add Frank Clark, which kind of offsets that a little bit. And as for Surtain and Simmons, they are two all-pro caliber players every single season. I wholeheartedly agree. Moving on to our next question coming in from Jessica. Do you think Russell Wilson will have a good season in Denver, or I am for Denver, something to that tune? I think Russell Wilson will have, without a doubt, a bounce back year from last year. Like, he has Sean Payton on the sideline compared to Nathaniel Hackett. That is a big difference. That is going to change every element of the preparation for the game each week, the film reviews, everything, top to bottom. So Russell Wilson last year was dreadful. We don't need to bring that up. But I think in 2023, we're going to see a Russell Wilson that throws 25 touchdowns and like 12 interceptions. It might not be the Russell Wilson Denver thought they were getting when they traded so much for him, but it'll be a step in the right direction. That much I am very confident about. Jessica, thank you so much for the question. In Peyton we trust. Could the Broncos trade Nik Bonitto after signing Frank Clark? I don't think George Payton wants to trade away his first pick from the 2022 NFL Draft after just one season. That seems a bit early and jittery. Don't you agree? Yes, signing Frank Clark is not good for Nik Bonitto because it probably screams the Broncos don't have a lot in trust. Like, when they signed Frank Clark, they were kind of signing a Baron Browning replacement because of the knee surgery he got in March. They're not expecting Baron Browning to miss a chunk of the season, but if he is going to miss time, clearly they weren't looking in-house for a replacement option after Bonitto was more or less a redshirt freshman, right? 1.5 sacks, 14 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. You didn't see a whole lot from the Oklahoma Sooner last year. Now, when it comes to an actual trade, I don't think Denver wants to go down that route. One, they picked him 64th overall in the draft. His value has only gotten worse, right? For a couple of reasons. One, teams love rookie contracts. He's already 25% of the way through a rookie contract. Two, he showed teams very little tape last year to believe he was a good trade target. So unless Denver is dying to move on from him and a team offers them a 6th or a 5th round pick, I don't see what Denver really has to gain unless they truly believe this is an all-time bust. Let's at least get something now before we can't get anything at all. But I think it's too early to pull the plug on Nik Bonitto. So what do you guys think? Is it too early to give up on the former 64th overall pick? This is the pinned comment for the video. Scroll on down if a YouTube ad break comes on by. Take advantage of it and give me your thoughts while that ad rolls. The Bronco Kid, what's going on, dude? Which college QB should we target with our 2024 first-round pick? Good question. I like this question. We're really thinking ahead here to 2024. Well, I suspect Caleb Williams and Drake May will go top 5, you know? And I don't think Denver will be picking top 5. I just don't see a way Sean Payton lets things get worse from my 5-win season last year. So if they're kind of in that no man's land where, let's say, things don't go super well and Denver wants to pick a quarterback in 2024 in round 1, and they're picking from 10 to 20-ish, you know what I mean? Quarterbacks in that range, we're going to find out and learn a lot of them this upcoming college football season. And call me a bias, but one guy I like a lot is Tennessee quarterback Joe Milton. Went to my alma mater. He has a bazooka for a right arm. He throws a very pretty ball. Joe Milton might be what John Elway was always searching for in a quarterback. He's got the arm. He's got the height. He's not Paxton Lynch, though. So do not worry. He's better than Paxton Lynch. Joe Milton right now might not be a household name, but he's going to rise. So that could be a fun target for Denver next year. Jessica Roble is back on the show. What do you think? Do you think we'll make the wild card? All right, let's go with that. I think that's better English. Do you think the Broncos will make the wild card? I'm going to run through my way too early division winners here. I'm going to go with the Chiefs in the West. In the South, I'm going the Jags. In the North, I'll go with the Bengals, although don't be shocked if we get a changing in the guard in the North. And in the East, I'll go with Buffalo. So then my wild card teams, I'll go with the Chargers. No one in the South. And I got the Ravens, Browns, and Dolphins all competing. It is a crowded AFC once again. I think Denver will go 9-8. Last year, 9-8 was good enough for Miami to get in. Maybe that's the case this year, but I think year one in Sean Payton's tenure, they might be on the outside looking in just by a hair. Now, make sure to subscribe, by the way, because anytime a move happens covering or regarding the Broncos, we cover it here on the channel. So if it's a signing, if it's a release, just don't be the guy at the bar talking with your friend that has no idea that Denver signed that player or released that player. And you won't be if you're subscribed to the channel. So don't be a schmuck. Hit that sub button down below. Past what's going on. Curious why they are still going with a base 3-4. Is it the DC head coach Gregory? Clark is the starting defensive ends in a 4-3. Love that. With Jones rotating in the middle. Very nice. I mean, let's talk about it, right? A 4-3 defense would be Randy Gregory, DJ Jones, Zach Allen, Tyler Lancaster, and Zach Allen and Frank Clark. Like, you have a Gregory, Allen, and Clark rotation going, which right now, if you have Clark as an outside linebacker, they're all in the field at the same time. I think at this point, it's kind of just Vance Joseph inheriting a defense that's been a 3-4 defense for a very long time. So not wanting to maybe instill a culture shock in his first season. But I agree that this team could operate out of a 4-3 front. I don't think they're pigeonholed into being a 3-4 defensive front. They have the personnel to probably make the change. But why are they running a 3-4? Probably because they ran it last year. And they have the personnel for that. And if Denver does want to make a change, they probably need more than one offseason to get the right guys in to switch to a 4-3 defense. Pass, thank you so much for the question. Police the Police 719. How do you feel about Vance Joseph as the DC? I don't feel like he's a good DC. I think Vance Joseph, anytime you hire a former head coach to be a coordinator, you always feel better about it because you're like, well, they might not have been a good head coach, but they can focus on just one half of the ball and be brilliant on that side of things. I don't think Vance Joseph was doing wonders in Arizona. He wasn't my top target as defensive coordinator. If you go back in time, I really wasn't crazy about getting Rex Ryan either. Ultimately, we'll have to wait and see. How do I feel? Maybe not as confident as other people. I'm kind of in the same boat as you. Police the Police. I'm not super jazzed up about it. I'll put it that way. If it doesn't work out, I'm not going to be the first one to run and say I told you so, but I'm also not uberly confident that Vance Joseph is going to be any better than Evero. Denver W's. Tim Patrick or Courtland Sutton getting more yards in 2023? That's tough, honestly, because both players talked about how they have been studying Mike Thomas and his role in New Orleans with Sean Payton as the head coach. I'm starting to lean a little bit more towards the Tim Patrick side of things. Go back to 2021. He played 16 games, 734 yards, and 5 touchdowns. He's the glue guy. I've always said, Tim Patrick is the guy you call when the party runs out of beer and you want him to make a run to the liquor store. Like, Tim Patrick is the dude that keeps the party going. Anytime anyone's thinking of tapping out at 11:30, no way. Tim Patrick's the glue guy. He's so great to have in the locker room. He's such a great person on and off the field. And I think he's coming for a bounce-back season. Jamal Murray did that after an ACL tear. Tim Patrick certainly can learn from that and talked about that. So Tim Patrick would be someone I think has a better 2023 season because of what he really did well when he was healthy. That was working over the middle of the field, kind of being a slot player, which Russell Wilson has always tended to stick to the sidelines a little bit. Let's see if Sean Payton tries to simplify things a little bit and add what Mike Thomas did so well in New Orleans, in Denver, and have Tim Patrick be that guy. Now, who do you think has a better 2023 season? Courtland Sutton or Tim Patrick? I'm going to roll with Tim Patrick. It's kind of the unpopular opinion, but I think diehard Broncos fans know, like, Tim Patrick might not have as eye-popping of a name as Jerry Jeudy or Courtland Sutton. He might not be the most valuable player, but he's definitely one of the most important pieces on this offense. So pencil me in for Tim Patrick. Brendan, you're next up on the show. Since our wide receiver room is really expensive and the chance of moving on from one of them is likely, what should the Broncos do if all three, Jeudy, Sutton, Patrick, have really good years? I mean, that is best case scenario. But as you bring up, there is a good chance they move on from one of those three players. They all have $12+ million cap hits next year. I just don't see a way Denver holds on to a near $40 million wide receiver room. There are 40+ million even, I think it's actually. They're going to switch some things up. But, Brendan, to answer your last question, if they all have good years, that's great. You sell high. You probably move on from Courtland Sutton because he could get you more in a trade. And I like the idea of Jeudy, Patrick, Marvin Mims, and a good draft pick more so than Jeudy, Sutton, Mims, and an okay draft pick, right? So if they all have great years, great. You're trading Patrick or Sutton if you don't want to hold on to all three. And I know it's not fun to talk about trading players away, but that's kind of the reality when you have three players all with big cap hits next year. It's very unlikely all three are back together in 2024. And I think Sutton is kind of the odd man out because he's got the biggest cap hit of the bunch. And you have Jeudy on the way up. And you have Tim Patrick coming back. And you have Marvin Mims. Probably sell high on Courtland Sutton. Last question coming in from Tim Stark. Should Denver offer Kareem Hunt a one-year deal to help our backfield? Okay. Should Denver versus will I think Denver do that? Should Denver do it? I think so. If they believe Javonte Williams is going to miss time and they want a committee backfield, Kareem Hunt is better than Tony Jones in a committee backfield. If that's the strategy, you can get a better committee. But if they believe Javonte Williams is going to come back, well, I could see why they might not be jumping in bed with the idea of signing two running backs in free agency to $4 to $5-ish million dollar contracts, only to have one of them be the third string behind Javonte Williams and or Samaje Perine or Kareem Hunt. So if they think Williams will come back sooner than later, then you roll with what you have right now. But if you think Williams is going to miss a good chunk of the season, then yeah, make a better committee. And Kareem Hunt, Zeke, Dalvin Cook, Leonard Fournette, any of them are a better committee member than Tony Jones. Sorry, Tony. I know you're catching a lot of strays here right now, but I just got to go with my gut. That is it for today's mailbag. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and taking time out of your day to come answer and talk some questions with me. Subscribe down below if you have not already, and we'll keep you guys in the loop all off season long.